Thinking of becoming a healthcare assistant, or you've just landed that role as a healthcare assistant in the NHS, this is the right place for you to be. In this video, I'll be sharing real-life NHS healthcare assistant interview questions, and of course I'll be giving you the answers to these questions. I would also be giving you tips of how to sound confident when answering those questions when you're sitting in front of the interview panel. Whether the role is in a hospital or a GP, or even in the community or in the mental health setting, these questions will be tailored towards answering those tricky questions that you might find yourself faced with when sitting in front of the interviewer. Please make sure you watch to the end to avoid certain mistakes that other people have made when answering those questions. In most NHS organizations, healthcare assistants are either Band 3s or Band 4s. So you need to be able to show that you're going to be coming into a role where you're confident, where you can work autonomously by yourself, where you are able to work as part of a team. In all NHS settings, there are healthcare assistants. And the roles and responsibilities that healthcare assistants provide are not dissimilar. The questions and answers that we'll be going through in this video will be transferable to whatever setting you are in, either being working in a GP center, working in an NHS hospital, or even working in a mental health hospital. I have a video on my channel, which I'm going to link in the description box, that gives you the do's and don'ts of what not to do when interviewing for roles within the NHS. I would suggest for you to watch that video to ensure that you avoid those mistakes. Do well to check them out. As a healthcare assistant, this might be one of your first proper interview that you're having within the NHS, and I will need to ensure that you sound confident enough when sitting in front of that panel. So you need to ensure that you're not sounding monotone, you're sounding confident, and you actually are well prepared for your interview. Not mumbling your words. It doesn't really matter about your accent. I tell my clients that in my coaching group that they need to ensure that when they are in that interview, they are enunciating properly. That means speaking clearly and confidently. As long as the interviewer can understand you, then they'll be able to pick out all the vital things you're saying during your interview. In this video, we'll be going through 6 different questions that are likely to come out during a healthcare assistant interview in the NHS or in the community or even in a mental health setting. All these questions are able to be used in all these settings. So please do stick around to the end to ensure that you pick up all the right questions that I'll be giving out in today's video. So that you're more confident about this video, I just wanted to let you know that I do sit on interview panels, and I've been on panels where we've recruited healthcare assistants into the organization. I know what I'm talking about with regards to what the interview panel wants to hear from you during that interview. The 6 questions we'll be going through are based on one of the interviews that I've actually sat on, where these are the questions we ask the healthcare assistant. I would like for you to please subscribe to my video, like and share it, and also comment, because I do like to hear from you if these videos are actually helping. Let's get into the video. The first question is, why do you want to become a healthcare assistant? This question is just like an icebreaker to ensure that you actually know the reason as to why you want to be a healthcare assistant. Ensure that you've read the job description and the About Us page of the organization from front to back. So the advert would have all the information as to what the job entails for you to be able to know how best to answer that question. Make sure that you're linking your answer to the job description, person specification, and about the role. So everything that has been written about the role, you try and link your answer to that question. And at the end of you explaining all that, you then try and give an example as to what actually prompted you to want to be a healthcare assistant. A typical answer about why do you want to become a healthcare assistant would start from you talking about the role of a healthcare assistant and how it relates to you. So bringing in your own personality as well. And at the end of that explanation, I would expect you to tell us a story as to what influenced you to become a healthcare assistant. And I would always say to ensure that they are using the STAR method to answer this question. A typical answer for this question, while working in a busy NHS organization as a cleaner, I normally help the nurses or other healthcare assistants, assisting them informally, whether helping them to prop up a patient or even get them a glass of water. Over time, I realized I wanted to play a more hands-on role with patient care, and I started shadowing healthcare assistants and went ahead to complete my care certificate, which enabled me to have the right knowledge and skills. While doing this, I also volunteered so that I could have hands-on experience for the role that I wanted to do. While doing all this confirmed to me my deep burning passion of always helping people and always assisting patients, and I realized that this is the place I wanted to be. Then I went ahead to apply for a role after speaking to one of the senior clinicians in the department, and she advised me to apply for this role that I've applied for today. Becoming a healthcare assistant means I can be more compassionate and give more hands-on care to the people that come through the doors of this organization. Hence the reason why I want to be able to bring my whole self into this role. The second question that might be asked is, tell us about yourself. This also links with, why do you want to become a healthcare assistant? What we're really looking for in this question is, tell us what drives you, what motivates you, what are the attributes that you can bring to the role that would ensure that you are the best candidate, that would look after the people that are in your care. We need to ensure that you are linking this to the NHS values about compassion, about dignity, about respect. Those are the keywords that you need to ensure that you're saying when you're talking about yourself. You're explaining yourself as a compassionate person. You are talking about yourself as someone that ensures that the dignity of others is respected. You are talking about how you respect people's views, how you're a team player, how you want to collaborate with people. If you are using all these key essential words, those are the kind of things that are giving you extra points when we are taking off answers to this question. You will need to just give us an explanation as to what drives you or what motivated you to actually want to apply for this role. So when you're telling us about yourself, you can tell us a story of how you looked after your grandma. Following from her coming back from the hospital, maybe she had a surgery, then you looked after her at home, the care, the attentiveness, ensuring that her needs were being met. All that will show that you have a sense of purpose and a sense of care, which is what we're really about in the NHS. If you're telling us about what motivated you to come into this field, we need to show that you actually love looking after people. You're actually interested in the well-being, not just the physical well-being, also the mental well-being of the people that you're looking after. The third question that mostly comes out is, tell us about the values of the organization. Most organizations work really hard to define what the values of the organization is. Hence the reason why they work alongside a lot of their employees for them to be able to have a voice in explaining what the organization means to them. So in questions that we do ask always in interviews, no matter the level from band 1s to band 9s, is, what do you know about our values? Can you list the values of our organization? How does it relate to you? When you're answering this question, make sure that they've gone onto the website of that organization to read about their values, their ethos, what actually drives them, what accomplishments have they had in the last couple of years, because all that information is always on their website. So I would always suggest to you to go on there and make sure you know the values of the organization. Even if the question doesn't even come out, you can always try and drop it into your answer when you're explaining. When they ask you about yourself, you can always say it in terms of your organization. Your values are this, and this is me as well. My values very much relates to the values of the organization. For this organization, for example, their values are they are caring, they are kind, they are fair, and they are respectful. I would always suggest for you to try and list out all the values of that organization and then explain it briefly. So for example, if you say they're caring, you can say that care is a very important part of who I am because I like to care for people. I ensure that people that are in my care are well looked after. Another one is respect. I show respect. I ensure that I give dignity and respect to people that I look after on a daily basis. So if you're giving quick snapshots of those values, that organization, they would know you've actually taken your time to actually think about the answers that you're actually going to be given. Once you finish explaining, I would always suggest for you to then relate it to yourself, give it like a star answer. I would suggest that you pick out one or two and give a proper in-depth analysis as to how you embody that, and also link it into the NHS charter as well, ensuring that both of them are working together. That shows that you're actually not just thinking about yourself, you're not just thinking about the organization, you are thinking of the NHS as a whole, because the people charter for the NHS is something that is very vital, and a lot of organizations, NHS organizations, embody that, and that is always the basis of the values that each of these organizations push out as what they are about. Even though all organizations have different values, the root of all their values is always based on the NHS. Then talk about that living the values is not just about the grand scale, it's about the little things that actually makes it a big thing. So you're embodying it in terms of, you're not just doing it as a one-off, it's who you are. The fourth question that normally comes out during a healthcare assistant interview is, tell me a time that you've worked in a team. This question is about collaboration and working in a team, communication skills, because the NHS is all about team working, communication and collaboration. So they need to understand where your head is at in terms of working together as a team. Your answer needs to demonstrate how you're going to work collaboratively with people, how you're going to communicate effectively, and how you're going to be part of the team, ensuring that you're contributing your own aspect to the betterment and care of the patient that you're looking after. So your answer has to embody all this. This is a good place for you to be able to use that star answer method to answer this question. A good example of answering this question is, while working on a busy night shift, when I started during handover, we realized that we're going to be short-staffed because members of staff that were meant to be working with us on that night shift had called in sick. Our priority for that night was to ensure that all our patients are well looked after despite the shortage of staff, and ensure that their care is still at the topmost priority for us to ensure that we do not have any mishaps during that night shift. Myself and my colleague decided to allocate tasks based on priority of need. We decided to divide the patients into two sections on our own to decide how best to look after the patient. We divided the tasks based on urgency. One focused on personal care and the other one on mobility. I supported with the feeding, hydration, and mobility needs of patients that were unable to use the facilities themselves. I ensured that throughout the night, the nurses in charge were kept abreast of all the tasks that we were doing, and any issues that we ran into, we raised all this immediately to the nurses in charge. We managed through the night to care for all the patients safely without having any mishap, and the nurses that were working with us were very pleased with our level of attention to detail and the care that we gave all our patients. It was a successful night shift for all parties involved. The fifth question is, tell us, what do you know about patient safety, and give us an example of how you ensure that patients are safe in your care. The answer to what the interviewer is looking for in this answer is about your collaboration, teamwork, patient safety care, safety protocols within the NHS, knowing what the rules and regulations are. So all what entails to ensure that the patient is safe. So you need to be able to answer this question based on all these parameters. You need to explain what you understand about patient safety, about patient-centered care, collaboration, communication, ensuring that the right people are the ones that are getting the information, ensuring that the patient gets the right information when they do ask it, communicating with the stakeholders. So these are the kind of answers that they want to see. Because if the patient themselves don't actually know what is going on, they become agitated, they become confused. So you need to ensure anyone that has to do with the care of that patient knows what is going on. That's about the patient safety. Because if you're not writing things down, if you're not communicating effectively, the care may be missed. Things that should have been done might not happen, and vital mistakes might happen. So you need to ensure that the patient is at the forefront of your mind, making sure that you're safe and the patient is safe as well. A star answer to this kind of question is, I'm currently working in a ward where there are loads of elderly patients. These elderly patients are prone to slips and falls. I was responsible for making sure that all the patients that in my care, in my bay, are well attended, can reach the call button, are well positioned in their bed, and also have access to water and refreshment if they do need it. While I was checking on one of the patients who was recently just returned from surgery, I noticed that the blanket was on the floor, the call bell wasn't anywhere near them, and they were looking a bit agitated. I immediately went to this patient, picked up the blanket from the floor, and ensured that the call button was within arm's reach for them to be able to call if they do need help. After ensuring and securing the patient back on the bed properly, I then went ahead to document this on Datex to ensure that any other person that was going to be looking after this patient would be prone to always check on them to ensure that they haven't had any instances where their call bell is not within their reach. As a result of this, I made sure that I went round to look at other patients to ensure there was no any disturbances to anything that they needed. During that night, there was reason for the emergencies to be raised because all patients were able to call for assistance. The final question, the sixth question is, what will you do if a nurse asks you to do something you're not trained for? This is a question that we're trying to establish what your thinking process is and how you will react to a situation when someone in authority or when someone, a more senior clinician, asks you to do something that you know that you're not trained to do. What will you do? Because you're so junior and because you're being faced with a more senior person, most healthcare assistants try please these senior clinicians. I would always say to you, ensure you do not do this. It might seem as if you are disobeying a direct task that has been given to you. You need to ensure that you're protecting yourself and also protecting the patient who has the most paramount need in all situations. So the ego of the nurse should be put aside when dealing with the situation. Always remember the NHS values of professionalism and respect, especially when you're caring for patients. Patient safety is paramount, so you need to ensure that that's always at the forefront of your mind. If you don't know it, don't do it, because it might have a very detrimental effect if you do something that you're not actually trained to do. How I would answer this nurse when asked this question is, I'm sorry, but I am untrained to know how to do it. Do you mind showing me how to do it? Or can I please shadow you so I can learn how to do it and then I'll be able to do it myself? Or do I need to go on a training course for me to be able to do it because I currently do not have the training qualification of how to perform this task? A good example is new nurse unfamiliar with my role asked me to remove a catheter for a patient who is about to be discharged. Although I wanted to be very helpful and ensure that I'm contributing to ensuring that the patient left the ward as soon as possible, I knew that I did not have the skills or the knowledge or even the know-how of how to remove a catheter. As I haven't received the adequate training, I explained calmly to the nurse that I wasn't trained and didn't know how to do it. And in me doing so, might put the patient at risk of injury. I offered a suggestion of helping in doing another task, like getting all the patient's things ready for discharge and putting all the paperwork together ready for the nurse to sign while the nurse did the catheter. And I also said to the nurse I was happy to watch her so that she could explain to me the process and procedure of how to remove the catheter. I then went on further to ask her if there was a special training or if there was a training course that could be offered to me to be able to learn how to do the catheter removal. The nurse was happy and said that she appreciated my honesty in telling her what I knew how to do to ensure that we did not have a near miss during that shift. She encouraged me to put up my name with a senior clinician to go for the training, which I went for the next month. I'm happy to say now I know how to remove a catheter successfully if needed in my team. This answer gives you an understanding of how best to give help. You are still offering help, but doing something different to show support and working collaboratively in that team. There you have it. Those are 6 real-life interview questions for healthcare assistants that I pulled out from a recent interview I had where I was sitting on the panel. I hope you've been able to gain a lot from this questions and answers that I've provided today, and it would help you in your next interview. If you're struggling or need help with interview, it's something that I can provide you help with. I currently have a client list where I help people struggling to know how best to answer questions during an interview. This is from my years of experience of sitting on the interview panel, and I believe I'm in the best position to be able to help you to ace those interviews. I hope this video has been informative for you and you've enjoyed it from the start to the finish. And if you do have any questions, please don't forget to send me a comment or even send me an email and I'll be happy to answer you. Or if you feel I haven't covered some aspects or there's something that you actually need to know or I haven't covered it in this video, do let me know and I'll be happy to do a video for you. I do offer a consulting service for you with your NHS application. So from start to finish, from you knowing how best to write your supporting statement to how best to position yourself answering your questions during interview. If securing your next role in the NHS is something that you need help with, hit me in my email or send me a comment in here and we can take it from there. If you found this video useful and you feel that it has helped you in one way, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share with your friends who might need something like this to help them in securing their next role in the NHS. Until next time, where I bring you more things NHS. Take care. Bye.